been a scintillating and fascinating series of speakers. Thank you to all, of course, the guest speakers for joining us this morning and afternoon to further illuminate some of the challenges that we are dealing with on a regular basis. As Nagamso indicated, the guests are going to be available at the various lounges. All you have to do is go to a lounge and then obviously indicate which table, and then you'll see who's at the table and you can engage with them a little bit further. I am also, though, frantically trying to find out in the background whether we could do the last session now so that we can free you basically for the rest of the afternoon. The last session, of course, will include me announcing who the winner of the Best Presenter Award is, but also inviting the acting CEO of the Regulator to wrap up what has not only been a very interesting day, but rather what has been a very fascinating new way of doing conferencing over the last 3 days. And I think we've got a number of issues to take forward and some action plans taken from this conference, which will certainly help shape what we need to do over the next year ahead of the conference in 2022. So I've got the go-ahead that we are going to move the break and the networking session to a little bit later. We're going to conclude the business of the day. That way, when we say goodbye to you, you literally go and network, and then you have a wonderful Friday as well as your weekend as well. The winner of the Best Presenter Prize for today, as determined by you, is Ms. Mmusela Dlapo. Mmusela is the Chief Executive Officer of the African Rail Industry Association, and she was talking to third-party access, being a key driver to sustainable railways. Mmusela, congratulations to you. Certainly well-deserved. Obviously, the participants found your contribution very, very engaging. They were intrigued by the information, and as we always say, they want to know a little bit more. Mmusela Dlapo, congratulations to you, the Chief Executive Officer of the African Rail Industry Association. You've won yourself the prize of Best Speaker today, and the Regulator will send a lovely prize to you in the coming weeks. Well done indeed. Now, rail safety is essential. Any economy that wants to grow in a modern day society needs to have a safe, efficient, clean, and dependable rail network. We've got a network that is challenged in South Africa for a whole host of reasons that we've discussed over the last 3 days. We are in the middle of a crisis. Hopefully, we are tending towards the tail end of it. The sooner we all get vaccinated, I keep on saying this, the sooner we all get out of the lockdown that we continue to be finding ourselves in since March of last year. And in order for us to grow the economy at a rate that is going to be sufficient to tackle the challenges of the socioeconomic lived experience of many South Africans, the rail network is going to be essential, be it to transport people from their home to place of work or school and back, and do so in a way that is dependable and that is safe and that is cheap and efficient, be it transporting of goods and freight from one harbor to not only other parts of South Africa, but other parts of the African continent. We need a very strong, sturdy, invested in rail network. And I think the last 3 days have really given us much food for thought in terms of how we get there. The crisis has given us an opportunity to think out of the box, to pivot. Those are the terms that you're all familiar with. And if we do not come out of this crisis with something exceptional for the rail network, then we would have absolutely wasted a good crisis. I imagine, Mmuso, that you've been given much, much food for thought by not only discussions today, but certainly discussions for the last 3 days. I'd like to welcome them to the platform for his closing thoughts and official closing of the conference for this year, the acting CEO of the Railway Safety Regulator, Mr. Mmuso Selaledi. Mmuso, good afternoon.
Africa, he will be joining in a second.
Okay, he will be joining in a second.
He is
I am
on.
told.
He's
Thank you
coming
very
live.
much, Phil. Just another round of applause, even if it is virtual, please, for all of our panelists and speakers today. The amount of work that has gone into the presentations has been outstanding and incredible. As we've been indicating for the last 2 days as well, we will be providing, of course, a video of all the presentations alongside the slides that were presented by the various speakers for the last 3 days. I know that some of you were making frantic notes, but if you want to, I suppose, accurately reflect what is being said, this will become available to you in the coming days. As always, if there's any particular aspect of the sector that you'd like discussed in future conferences, please let us know. That way we can design a conference that is going to work and address your needs and your issues. Towards the tail end of the panel discussion I moderated today, there were issues around, is the regulation to have fencing around the entire extent and distance of the rail network the most efficient way of using the money that is available and the resources? That's a conversation I think that needs to go ahead. And I imagine that Mmuso Selaledi is going to be reflecting on that with us as well in a moment. But I, for one, being an outsider in this sector, have been incredibly impressed by the incredible amount of detail and work and research that has gone into each of the presentations. The new technologies that are in the sector, outstanding. We've had speakers not only from South Africa, but also the rest of the African continent, and of course, other parts of the world as well. We thank you for all your incredible work and participation and the inspiration that you're leaving us with, because we know now, at least you have a better idea of what it can be like if we pour in the resources, if we direct all our efforts, energy, and hard work into realizing it, because ultimately it needs to serve the people of South Africa, the people of this continent. So thank you to each and every one of you who has participated over the last 3 days as a panelist, as a presenter. Thank you for your hard work. And as I said, we'll be sharing it, of course, with the participants. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank you, dedicating 3 days of a working week to listening, to reflecting, to engaging in the way that you have. It really has made my job a lot easier, and the job of the organizers of the conference, without a doubt. Having an engaged and interested participant, even on a virtual platform, becomes essential in order for us to make sure that, one, the message is landing and that the presentations are of interest to you, but two, you extract from the specialists that we've invited reflections that you are looking for, because we are part of one big network, ultimately, I suppose, a pun intended there, and we need to work together. We might work for different entities, separate entities, we might report to different people, but ultimately we are all working together to provide a railway safe network that is for the benefit of the patrons, of the passengers, of the South Africans, but also our clients, be they local or international. So thank you for dedicating the last 3 days and giving up as much of your time as possible to listen, and as I said, most importantly, to engage in this conference. He is lining up and he will be on in a minute, and I'm sure he's going to take the opportunity to do his own thanks as well. But to the Railway Safety Regulator, it is hard work that you do. As a regulator, I imagine there are often very tense and difficult conversations that need to take place between you and PRASA, you and Transnet, you and the Gautrain, and so forth and so forth. But those conversations and deliberations and work needs to be done. And the sense I've been getting, at least anyway, from the last 3 days, is that you're wanting to work with the sector. You're not just there as an oversight tool, which is an important legally constituted tool, but you're also very much interested in the success of this sector. So that has been demonstrated certainly to me, and I imagine to every one of the panel of the participants over the last 3 days. With that in note, Musi, I hand over to you now for the final word and a pointing forward of whatever we're going to be doing in October 2022, which hopefully will be in person. Lovely to see you again.
Thank you very much, Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of doing the closing remarks for this year's conference. From day one, when it all started with the opening address from our Honorable Deputy Minister to all the presentations we had on day one, I had the privilege of sitting through many of them, very informative, very engaging, right to this very moment when I can do the closing remarks. We have come to the end of a very rewarding conference, the Regulator's first ever online annual rail safety conference, one of the many innovations born by our new normal, the environment affected by the pandemic. As the sun sets on this year's unique ARSC, we must recognize the zeal and the commitment of you, our conference delegates, who stayed online for the better part of the 3 days to participate and engage on this platform. For that, I absolutely thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank our partners for hosting informative exhibitions and our speakers for their thought-provoking inputs, which invigorated networking opportunities and will hopefully stimulate more conversations far beyond this conference. I hope that the engagements over the last few days will allow for collaboration within the sector and for the advancement in support of the sector as a whole. What has become very clear to us over the last couple of days and the duration of this conference is that the rail sector is in dire need of fresh solutions for the mammoth challenges such as the migration of commuters from rail to road and the eradication of our rail infrastructure through vandalism and theft, just to name a few obstacles. However, on the upside, through the convergence of great minds, we can develop key strategies to unlock many of these challenges. The debates have been very interesting. They have been thought-provoking. The session I had a privilege to be part of, there were comments given by our operators around the rail reserve regulations, how we need to go and consider their inputs as we chart a way forward to that. There have been numerous presentations from the human factor delegates. There were international speakers who joined us, and the virtual platform has given us and opened up a plethora of international speakers, more than usually we would have experienced, and we thank everyone, all the delegates, all the speakers, all the participants. Thank you all for being part of the success of this year's annual Rail Safety Conference. Thank you for helping us to uphold the mandate of keeping rail safety on the right track. We will see you again next year for next year's version of the annual conference, which will be on 3 October 2022. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and goodbye from me.
Thank you very much to you and your team. It really has been an amazing, amazing conference. As Mmuso indicated there, we will see each other again in October of 2022. Have a wonderful Friday and have an even better weekend. Remember to make your way now to the lounge and engage. Many of the speakers are still available to answer some of the questions that we were not able to get to. And of course, thank you to the session chairs as well, who were amazing in doing the work that they did. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday.